Good morning. It is Wednesday. We have made it halfway through another week. Want to do a shout out immediately. If you don't know, today is Jordy Mycelis's birthday. Make sure you wish him a happy birthday today. Great guy. Hope he has a wonderful day. Let's get started. Let's do this. Yep, our friend Jordy Mycelis, I reached out to him this morning to wish him happy birthday. He is 100% graduated to being, I should say, living that dad life. I asked him if he had big birthday plans, and he responded, "Man, I just hope my kid takes a nap today." You gotta love it, man. You gotta love it. Life is good. There's enough shit going on, enough negative stuff that's going on. You've got to enjoy the good stuff. You've got to enjoy the good stuff. Again, Jordy is a great guy. I want y'all to all reach out to him and wish him a happy birthday today. I really do. But let's talk about it. Let's get into the real deal, the stuff that's going on right now. We've got a good ruling for the Supreme Court from the Supreme Court. They've upheld birthright citizenship. I tell you, I hate the fact that we even had to speculate whether or not they were going to do this because it is so clear in the Constitution. It is so clear in the Constitution. I mean, it's completely unambiguous what's written in the Constitution. The fact that we actually had to speculate, okay, this time, are they going to just change the meaning of words? Are they going to, you know, are they so partisan that they're just going to pander? I mean, that wasn't a stretch. That wasn't a stretch. We absolutely could see the Supreme Court doing this. And it's just, I hate this for us. I hate this for our country. The fact that you don't question at all that they're partisan enough to do that. It is just, it is gross, man. It is gross. I am sick and tired. This needs to be, and I know this isn't an easy fix. This isn't an easy problem to fix. And I know this is going to take years, but it has to be the absolute core of what we do. We've got some great election results that we're going to talk about in Colorado today. The Democratic Party has always been a big tent, and it's diversifying even more, which is a good thing. It's a fantastic thing. A lot of fresh energy coming into the party. It's really good. It is fantastic. But we have to keep a focus. We have to keep at our core a mission to go after that third branch of government. The Republicans did it for decades. They did. I mean, and that's not a bad thing to say. Go after the third branch of government. I know that'll cause some people some pause, but no, no, absolutely. The Republicans have done this for decades. Judgeships, it was Mitch McConnell's mission in life to stack the Supreme Court and federal courts as much as he possibly could, because he understood the value of that third branch of government that they now almost completely controlled, which is hanging by a thread between, you know, there's this balancing act between the absolute partisans that they've shoved onto our courts. That's why they judge shop down here in Texas, because they got a few federal judges down here that, man, they don't give a damn. I mean, if Donald Trump squatted and took a dump in a box, there are some judges down here in Texas that would rule that was apple pie. I mean, it's just what they are. They have no fealty to the law, to the Constitution at all. And then on the other end of it, you have appointees that are, man, they're they're our last hope. They're the last people out there that are looking at this and saying, yeah, we this is not what the Constitution says. This is not what the law says. I mean, literally, we're watching pressure on the courts from the extreme right. And we have to realize they won't hold forever. We're all getting older. All of us. We're all getting older. And pressure works. It does. So we have to just stay focused. We have to keep at our core that mission. And I know it'll take us a decade. It'll take us a decade to get that third branch of government, which, by the way, we haven't controlled since 1969. We haven't. We Democrats have not controlled the Supreme Court since 1969 because the billionaire oligarchs understand the value of it, the value of that power, and they have been dumping influence and money into making that happen for the longest time. And I got to tell you, if this doesn't alarm me, let me double check my fact here. One second. I want to make sure I'm right on this. Make a long point and not be right. Mm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It's something as clear as the birthright citizenship decision. It wasn't unanimous. It was 6-3. We still had 3 members of the court that, as I described, I mean, Donald Trump could take a crap in a box and they would declare it apple pie, man. They're just disgusting. They're disgusting creatures. And yes, Samuel Alito, I'm talking about you. Clarence Thomas, I'm talking about you. These people have no fealty to our Constitution or our country. We have to address this. We do. Thank God the Republicans are in complete disarray. They are. They are in complete disarray because Donald Trump, immediately after getting poked in the eye by the Supreme Court, demanded that Congress immediately enact a law banning birthright citizenship, giving the 3 conservative justices that crossed over what they need to justify actually defying what was the intent of our Constitution from the beginning. I mean, they always like to talk about the framers. They always like to talk about our founding fathers and their wisdom and their, all that rhetoric that we heard for decades. Now, for Trump, hey man, give me the excuse. Give me the excuse. I'm telling you, folks, this is going to be a long fight. I wish I could promise you that we're going to win the midterms and everything's going to be okay. Man, I'm not promising that. I'm telling you, this is going to take. This is a forever job, man. We are never going to be able to let up, ever. These people are just flawed, broken people, and they will always be trying to, push through bigotry, push through hate. They're never going away. They've created another generation. Uh, just I have a large social media presence. I do. And I have to tell you, it's really disappointing. Most of the time, most of the time, we see the bigotry and the ugly statements, and it's coming out of an old person in their 60s, 70s. But man, there's just this sliver of young guys that are buying into that same tired crap, and they're never going to go away. I mean, their entire life, they will be what MAGA is. This is a lifetime job, folks. This is. We're never going to be able to let up. We're never. Sorry about that. Blinked out for a second. But thank God the GOP is in such disarray. They actually, Mike Johnson actually had to shut the House down and go on a July 4th break sooner rather than later. Can you believe that we're only a few days away from July 4th already? Folks, I just want to, I want to just take a second to hearten people. There were, so many people were very distraught, very upset, saying they we weren't going to make it to the next election. We weren't. I just want to. I want to put it to you this way. Do you remember packing up your Christmas tree this last Christmas? You remember taking down the decorations? Think back about that for a second, because I remember it. I remember it. You remember what your tree looked like? How you decorated this year? Packing it all up, putting it out in the garage or up in the attic or wherever you keep your tree. Yeah. We are closer to next Christmas than when you took your tree down last year. Yeah. So, yeah, folks, we vote in November. We are close, man. We are close. It is not going to be not that long. We are on the cusp of change. And they know it. That's why this revolt is happening. It is not reasonable, sensible Republicans saying, "Hey, we've got to be smarter for the election." No, the Republicans. This revolt is just signature proof to you that they understand that they're screwed this election. They know it. This revolt is from the hardliners that are screaming, "We've got to pass the SAVE Act." That bullshit, misnamed, gross attack on women and women's voting rights. We got to keep them women from voting. It's the hardliners screaming, "We've got to pass that draconian immigration bill as fast as possible." These hardliners are not revolting because they're wanting to be more appealing, because they're wanting to attract more vote. No, they're revolting because they're screaming, "Hey, we only have X amount of time left to get these radical ass bills passed, and Mike Johnson ain't getting it done. So what we're going to do is," and a big, no shit, the big core of these people, what they did. No, let me back up for a second. What they did is, when you open the House, the first thing that has to happen is you have to establish rules for the debate over a bill. Um, they wouldn't vote for the rules. So the House was paralyzed. It could do nothing. It couldn't go to that next step. They could literally not conduct business. So everybody was kind of scratching their head, because I mean that's a pretty radical step. Literally, the House is paralyzed if you do that. They can do nothing. And their excuse was, that Mike Johnson had promised to get this immigration bill on the floor before the 4th of July. This radical ass GOP immigration bill. I mean, it's draconian, man. It really is. And you've got this core of the Republican Party that includes Mike Johnson that realizes that if they do this before the midterms, it's going to be even worse. They're just going to add fuel to the fire. So they're trying to delay this. They're trying to smoke screen people into believing that they're not as radical as they are. Well, the radicals are screaming. They're revolting. They're like, "We will shut this down." And the second reason that they gave is that the Senate will not act on the SAVE Act, that the Senate will not pass the SAVE Act. So they're going to shut down the House, which has, again, a lot of people scratching their heads, but that's how radical these people are. They're trying to bully their own party in another chamber. Because what's on the line, and this just goes to show you how little they actually give a shit. They use the military for props. I was sitting down with Richard Ojeda. He was doing a fundraiser yesterday, and we were doing a live on it, and we were talking about that very thing. Bragg is in the district he's running in. These Republicans don't give a shit about the military. They don't give a shit about veterans. All of their funding bills are what was supposed to be in the House's business before these Republicans shut it down. The basics, just the basic shit of just paying your bills. That was all on the agenda. That was all but they don't care. They don't care about the military. They don't. Not at all. Look at what Pete Hegseth did to General Chris Donahue. Just insane. One of the most respected generals in our entire military. One of the most respected flag officers in our entire military. Out, canned. Because keg breath. Old Scotch breath is ultra paranoid. He's worried about people that have too much influence or too well liked. General Donahue, he was over the 82nd Airborne. He was over JSOC. He was over Delta, our Delta forces. This guy had incredible experience. He's exactly the kind of general that you want to cultivate. That kind of real world experience is unheard of. And if you want to know if the guy's got spine or not, what kind of leader he is, that clusterfuck in Afghanistan that Trump set up, cutting loose those 5,000 Taliban terrorists, creating that unrealistic timeline for our withdrawal, that shit show Trump created and dumped on Joe Biden. And kudos to Joe Biden for negotiating us out, a little bit more time. But that withdrawal from Afghanistan was a disaster because of Trump. I literally cut our enemy loose before we left. Ignored our allies on the ground, didn't consult with the Afghans, the Afghan leadership. Just you remember all of this? Well, Chris Donahue was in charge during that withdrawal. And he was the last boot to leave the ground. Literally stayed to be the last man to step onto the transport, make sure all of his people were there We're done. We're taken care of. That's leadership, man. That's leadership. And Keg Breath fired him. Well, forced him to retire is what he did. But yeah, like right now in this world, we didn't need that experienced leadership. No, it's all political. They want yes men. They want people that'll bow down. I took a lot of shit. I did because I told people that is what they're doing. When I saw who they put in as the Secretary of Defense, you got a guy who has very publicly Keg Breath um, has very publicly stated his problem with the way he was treated in the army. He was special, and they should have recognized he was special. No, no, he was a jackass then. He's a jackass now. So no, he didn't go very far in the military, and he has a lot of bitterness about it. He really does. Between him being put in charge, as Secretary of Defense, and the undersecretary, Anthony Tata, who has these delusional views about purging the military. Yeah, I knew we were in for it, man. I did. I knew we were in for it. And these people are showing you again what's important to them. They're radical, the most radical aspects of their agenda. They don't care about our military funding. They don't care about taking care of business. Just the basic stuff that is on the agenda. Can't do it. Can't do it. No. If you don't pass our most radical, craziest shit, no. Screw the military. Screw their families. Screw all these, it's just, it's pathetic. It really is pathetic. It really is. And I got to tell you, I saw some people asking about Mitch McConnell. We've got some news on Mitch McConnell. Nobody's seen him for 19 days. Nobody has seen him for 19 days. Well, the 911 dispatch calls have been released. We have a copy of those. Let me play those for you real quick. Turns out he was completely unconscious when they found him. Turn your volume up.
Medical confirmed medic engine 3, medic 3, ALS response unconscious, 217C3, no CCS in Charlie. Medical confirmed medic engine 3, medic 3, ALS response unconscious, 217C3, no CCS in Charlie, close of 2nd Street on Channel 11, 836.
Yeah. Old Mitch was, and nobody's seen him for 19 days. This is, and we have no leadership, none whatsoever. They're just, we're just gonna, no special election, no representation in Kentucky, nope, not gonna happen, not gonna happen. They're trying to push it back. They're trying to keep everybody from finding out this guy is catatonic, that he's, on death's door, completely unable to function as a senator until after the election. They just want to drag it out as far as they can because what's more important to them is their radical agenda. Trying to keep a hold, they're desperately trying to keep a hold of the Senate. And I got to tell you, with the way things are going, I just don't see it happening. I just don't see it happening. I think that we've got the wind at our back, and they just keep doing ridiculous things that just keep feeding the fire. I mean, every aspect of it. I mean, folks just aren't content. We just had a poll come out. Most Americans think the U.S. has strayed from its founding principles. And this is kind of a bipartisan feeling. This is your drunk Uncle Cletus who thinks that, they're delusional, all that shit that they used to say about the founding fathers and what the country's supposed to be. Well, they don't think the Republicans have delivered on that at all. And then you've got on the left, you've got people saying, hey, wait a minute, equality, all the things that all the stuff you told us in school that our country represented, you ain't that. Which again bodes very well for the election. When you've got people, remember, people don't vote to say thank you. People vote to say fuck you. They do. And when the overwhelming majority of the country, it's 65-35 breakdown. When the overwhelming majority of the country says, nah, this isn't where we're supposed to be, that will suppress the vote on the Republican side, and it will cause people to turn out on our side. Because again, they hold all three branches of government. They hold power. I mean, this is all, things are moving in the right direction. Let me read a couple comments real quick. I've got a couple important topics that we're going to talk about here, so stick with me. Rich, thanks for gifting the memberships, brother. Thank you. Chris, 6-month membership. Salute. It was pretty clear in the Constitution that insurrectionists aren't allowed to serve in the government, but they let him slide. Yep. George, thanks for the support, brother. Thank you for being here. Jordan B. Miller, campaign on the courts. Amen, brother. We've got to do it. Kismar, 6 months. Glad to see you. Thank you for being here. Crafty Ass Gardner went to the Tejas Dem convention last week. So good. Glad you made it. Glad you were there. Kids, my friend Kendall Scudder was again reelected to lead the Texas Democratic Party. Kendall is fantastic, man. Young, he gets it. Things are looking good, my friends. They really are. Kismar, I like some of these primary results. Me too. We're going to talk about what's going on in Colorado here in just a minute. Mr. Knutson, Texas Paul, thanks for helping Richard Ojeda in North Carolina's 9 district fundraise. I really like to see him in Congress fighting for working people. He is absolutely in a race that he can win. He is running against Richard Hudson, and Richard Hudson is the head of the NRCC, and he doesn't give a damn. He really doesn't give a damn at all about his district at all. He doesn't show up. He is all about fundraising. That's it. If you don't have a big ass check in your hand, he doesn't want to talk to you. They actually, it was a good catch by the Ojeda campaign. They had put up on their website that if you'll write a $25,000 check, he'll do a Zoom call with you. Richard Hudson will do a Zoom call with you. Yeah. They've nicknamed the guy Casper, as in Casper the Ghost, because he's just never around. He is just gone. All he is about the stakes and Merlot and the connections that he can make with the oligarchs that are dumping money into the NRCC. That's all he cares about. And again, that is the home. North Carolina's 9th is the home to Fort Bragg. There is a discontentedness among the, and that, by the way, that is where General Christopher Donahue spent the lion's share of his command, was at Bragg. There is a lot of discontentedness in that district. Ojeda's got a shot. He's got a shot. Jordan B. Miller, Democrats have to rebrand the GOP economy from the trickle down to the trickle up economy. I hear you, brother. We've been screaming that for years. Wendy Bowman, thank you. Look forward to this every week. I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you're here. Thanks for being such a long member. 5 months foundational member right there. Jerry Ring, good morning, good day, good evening, and good night wherever you are. I hope your coffee's all right. We got the best people in here. Mike Daly, the morning brother. Supreme Court nearly ruled the Constitution unconstitutional. I know, right? Insane. Joan Cortez, it's obvious that those members of SCOTUS that divide the Constitution failed their ethics and constitutional law classes. Judge Brown is the best. Greg Edmond, happy Canada Day. Is it Canada Day? I did not know that. Forgive my ignorance. Happy Canada Day, folks. Greg, thanks for bringing it up. We have a lot of people in our community that are from Canada. Shame on me for not knowing it's Canada Day. Happy Canada Day, folks. Dottie Farias, thanks for supporting the show. Thank you. Arcana Clan, thanks for supporting the show. I'm truly grateful. Thank you. Jordan B. Miller, what did Trump do with the $150 million taxpayer fund that was allocated to America's 250 when Trump turned it into Freedom 250? Yeah, there's going to be so many investigations on this administration. And you know what? It doesn't matter that the Supreme Court ruled that he's got pretty much immunity for everything he does because, they think that we have a king. That doesn't matter. Nixon didn't go to jail either, but people in his cabinet did. Yeah, I mean, these people are just something else, man. We are going to end up having to send these Republicans to jail. We are. Joan, West Point, thanks for supporting the show. I appreciate you. Skeet Sarah, happy candidate to the resistance. We are winning, killing the house. The housing bill might have been the last nail for the Mad King and his acolytes and followers, but the gerrymandering failed spectacularly. Cruelty is not a good idea. Folks, it's not just, I talked about this in Texas when they gerrymandered down here in Texas. They messed up. They used numbers from the 2024 election. Those don't apply anymore. They don't. This is a whole different reality. You know what? It is one thing to be your drunk Uncle Cletus sitting on a bar stool in a bar mouthing off shit about we need to do this and we need to throw them in. But you know what? When 80% of the immigrants you go after have no criminal history, you're just attacking them because you're a bigot. You're just trying to throw them out of the country because you're a bigot. People see you ripping their family out by the roots, betraying what America was all about. Yeah, it doesn't look good in practice. It's one thing for the biggest to sit on their bar stools and be drunk and say this stupid shit, but when people have to look at it, it's not a good thing. And I've got a story here we're going to talk about that just points that out specifically. DNC is in debt. RNC is in money. Please donate $5 if you can. That is true. Our fundraising, we are trailing big time on fundraising because the broligarchs, they'll sit there and they'll donate on their employees' behalf. You got employees donating to the Republican Party that don't even know they're donating to the Republican Party. Supposed to be a crime, but who's going to go after it? Jordan B. Miller, Colorado Democrats rocked the primaries. Yes, they did. We're going to talk about that here in just a second. George Leinenweber, thanks for supporting the show. Pat Tier, I live in a 55 and over apartment. Most are in their 70s and 80s. I'm almost 65. Many are hateful and racist, all raised as Republicans. The name is Patty R. Good to see you. Patty R., thank you. Thank you for straightening me out there. Diane Bree Garage, Paul, being an 80s kid, I am hearing the Rocky music when he starts training for the fight that we will kick their ass. I'm telling you, the wind is at our back and blowing harder every day. My Congressman Jason Crow said Democrats want people fighting for them, and the Colorado delivered yesterday. Yeah, that Colorado was great. You know what? Let's go ahead and jump to that. I'll come back to the comments here in a second. There's so many people are mentioning it. Yeah, this happened. Michael Bennet was a senator from Colorado that thought he had a walk-on to run for government. He thought governor. He thought he had it made, but no, that is not the case. AG Phil Weiser actually beat him quite handily. Yeah, I mean, it was not that close. It really wasn't. The people of Colorado said, look, no more old timers. We're not doing that. Now, Mike Bennett will still be the state senator, which is a good thing. I like Michael Bennett. I do. I really do. But I really like that the folks in Colorado are so excited about Phil Weiser. He's going to be a good governor. He is. he's going to be a much better governor than Jared Polis. He is. He is very clear on his positions. He's incredibly capable. He's an outstanding communicator. The guy is really, Phil Weiser is a name you're going to have to pay attention to. There may be a ticket in the future sometime with Weiser's name on it, a federal ticket with Weiser's name on it. He is really an outstanding candidate. He is. This is a good thing. The amount of it, and that's what I'm taking it as, the amount of energy that's flowing into the party. You know, the people are saying, look, you know, out with the old, in with the new. This is Diana DeGette. She has, I think it was her 18th term, 15th or 18th term she was running for in Congress. And the people in Colorado said, no, done deal. She was running in Colorado's U.S. House District 1, which is pretty much, well, Denver, the suburb, Denver proper and the suburbs. Yeah, the folks in Denver said, no, we're not doing this anymore. We're not. And they elected Malat Kiros, a young, very, very, very good candidate. She has really captured the discontent in the country that, people are tired of the same old, same old. They just are. People are tired of the same old, same old. And I got to tell you, folks, again, this was just really not that close. I mean, it was really not that close. One second. We've talked about it before, but 5 points is a blowout. Boom. 6 solid points, man. She did good. She did. Did it, she got a lot of grassroots support. She got a lot of bodies turning out for her. Malat Kiros is going to be a good candidate. She is. There's going to be a learning curve, of course. There is. She's got a lot of social media history and stuff like that the Republicans are going to try to throw in her face. And she's going to have to learn to temper her comments. Hell, AOC went through that. And look at how popular AOC is. She's freaking untouchable, man. I mean, you're going to hear a lot out of Malat Kiros. You are. You're going to hear a lot out of Malat Kiros. Trust me on that. You are. And she's going to win this race handily. That is a house seat that we're going to keep 100%. She's running under the banner of the Democratic Socialists of America. Just a reminder, there is no line on on any ticket, on any ballot for the Democratic Socialists of America, because they are not a party. They're a grassroots movement. She is a Democrat. When she ran for office, she ran on the line as a Democrat. That is what she did. She is the Democratic candidate. Now, there's a lot of people in the DSA that are like, no, she's DSA, she's Democratic Socialist. She's a And the second you people try to become your own party, you hand the government over to the Republicans. You do, because then you split the Democratic Party into 2 weak parties instead of one strong party. And yeah, she's a Democrat. She is a Democrat. That is why I will have her back, man. I will have her back 100%. She is, and we're gonna have to stand behind her. We are. Same thing I said when Zoran Mamdani got elected. He's not gonna win every fight. He's killing it up there. He is killing it up there. He is, but he's not gonna be able to do everything. Somebody somewhere is gonna be discontented. Nobody wins every fight. Same thing with Malat Kiros. They're going to pull up some things that she said that were just stupid fucking comments. She is. They are. I mean, because what drove her to run was discontentedness with our policies and the things our country were doing. So of course she voiced it. She put it out there. That is not her as the candidate. and it's not her as the congressperson. We're going to need to be that umbrella, that guard that says, okay, give her time, let her put her statements out, let her, you know what I'm saying? We cannot be that. You got to wear the damn jersey, people. You do. I don't know how many times I have to say that. You've got to put the Democratic Party jersey on. You do. These candidates need us. They do. You got Graham Plattner up in Maine, same situation. They need us to give them the room to speak, to say, look, I mean, you have to think about it. People keep telling me, Paul, you need to run for office. Okay, but if I run for office, I'm not going to be able to say all of the shit that I say now, because I've got to represent the government. I have to represent everybody. I have to, you know what I'm saying? I can't, I can't sit there at a microphone as Congressman Paul Schroeder or Senator Paul Schroeder or whatever and say, fuck them Republicans. I can't do that, So we've got to give Malak Kiros the cover. We got to give Graham Plattner the cover by showing some fealty and loyalty. That's why I push that so hard. Is, these are young people bringing the energy into the party, man. They are, and we have to give them the ability. And that's a blanket statement. That's just not true. That's not true. That's just not true. That's not true. Just because you don't think that our country should be funding another country, that Israel should have the kind of influence in our government that it does, especially since it's such a tiny country, both economically and militarily. And, let's face it. What is Israel in the Middle East? They don't control a lot of resources. They don't, so to say that Israel has way too much influence on our government is not anti-Semitic, dude. It's not. But yeah, I understand there's a lot of people in the DSA that say some stupid shit. I'll give you that much. Because every time I put an anti-Netanyahu comment, and this is what I say, I'm not sending any smoke your direction at all. I'm not. I'm just saying that blanket statement's not true. That's all I'm saying. But yeah, I feel you, because like every time I put an anti-Netanyahu post up, good Lord, the bigots come crawling out of the woodwork, man. It just feels gross. We have to go take a damn shower afterward, sitting there deleting people's comments that are saying stupid shit. But yeah, man, the energy and the excitement that's going on, and the Republicans will continue. They can't help it, because it is one thing to say, oh, we ought to this and we ought to run them immigrants. It's another thing when ICE arrests a frickin' nun. Yeah, that's not a good look, man. That is not a good look. When ICE arrests a nun in her habit, walking to mass. Yeah. Yeah, take a second to let that soak in. A nun. And it just goes to show you how ignorant these people, these ICE agents are, to not know that the Catholic Church is, I don't even, what is the right, obsessive about protecting the people within their church, making sure their documentation is up to date, because the Catholic Church is a global entity. They have priests that move. When I was growing up, like I said, I was raised in a Catholic household. Our priest was Dominican. Yeah, they had to make sure his paperwork was spot on. Yeah, I mean, these priests move, these nuns move, and the church is absolutely obsessive about crossing every T, dotting every I. And these idiot ICE agents arrest a nun in a habit while wearing her habit. I mean, it's just insane. It is just insane. But she- she's been released. She has been released. She has. They figured out that they screwed up. It was Sister Letty Agboja was her name, and these bigots just saw a person of color, and that's all that mattered to them. That's all that mattered to them. If they thought for half a second, that wouldn't have happened. It would not have gone as far as it went. But I have to tell you, as much as I like this new pope, I know what the Catholic Church has been here in the U.S. and how closely they've cuddled up to the Republican Party, and how flagrantly political it has been over. Cardinal Dolan, world's worst about politicizing the church. Um, we're seeing that change with this new pope, and I'm glad to see it. But I got to tell you, this really smacks of the church being really upset that the leopard is eating their face. Because the church is pissed about this. They are. They are pissed. I got to tell you again, this just really, when I read this, and by the way, Texas Tribune's a fantastic journalistic outfit. It really is. But when I read this, it really did smack as well. I guess, yeah, you're a little bit upset that the leopard has started to eat your face, because where were you for decades with all of this anti-immigrant rhetoric and all of the, where was the church and its teachings then when all of this was built? Trump's entire presidency is the bigot presidency. His entire presidency is, if not for immigration, he is not the president. Period. If not for the immigration issue, Trump is not the president. Period. It is all about the bigots and the Catholic Church. There was no daylight between them and the Republican Party for decades. You had Cardinal Dolan up in New York just absolutely, super gluing the church to the Republican Party. He's out now. He's gone. But still, I mean, this new pope has cleaned house. But what did you think was going to happen? Did you think it was not going to come home and, to your doorstep? So yeah, the sympathy. I mean, I am truly sorry for the sister, Sister Letty Abogja. I am truly sorry that happened to her. I am. This is not, directed towards her at all, but it is directed to the church. Pope Leo needs to continue on the path he's on. He really does, and it's really starting to hit home with these Republicans, because J.D. Vance is again, who's been a Catholic for all of 7 years, is talking about how he educated the Pope on immigration. I wish I was making that up. This is going to be a bit of a long clip, and I do apologize for that. But yeah, you need to hear the arrogance.
And then we have Pope Leo, Mr. Vice President, and a lot of more conservative Catholics are concerned, and Christians, just regular Christians, are concerned that we have a Pope in him, God bless him, who is very deeply, in some regard, anti-capitalist. similar to the last pope who was seen to be very anti-capitalist as well.
Yeah, Francis had a heart. And no, I don't hear a lot of Christians that are worried about Pope Leo. I don't. Most Christians are incredibly happy with Pope Leo. Most Christians I know are who's not. You've got the Southern Baptists that are, again, cryogenically, hermetically sealed to the Republican Party that are not digging it. But as far as Christians are concerned, no, I'm not seeing that. Are you folks seeing a problem? Are you hearing a problem? No, most people love Pope Leo.
Very critical of the Trump immigration policies as well. So are you concerned about that?
No, I'm not concerned, Laura. I mean, I maybe just don't see it the same way. I don't see Pope Leo as anti-capitalist. I do think that some of the things that have come out of the Vatican on the immigration question in particular have been troubling, and ultimately I disagree with it. But I actually like this interplay, Laura, between the Pope, between Christian clergy, and between the administration. We don't always have to agree on these issues, but I think the fact that we're actually having the right conversations, that we're pushing back when we disagree about, how there are, applying a pragmatic principle of immigration policy, that's a natural and reasonable thing to do. But I do think that we learned something in the interplay. And what I would hope that the Catholic leadership has learned from some of the things that...
Sorry, I muted myself so you couldn't hear me slurping my coffee. What I said there was, look, he came out of the block. He came out of the block pretty strong there. Hey, it's okay that we disagree. Saying the right things. Give him a minute. Give Couchfucker a minute. Give him some rope. Wait for it. Wait for it.
To do, but I do think that we learned something in the interplay. And what I would hope that the Catholic leadership has learned from some of the things that me and Marco and the president have said about immigration is it's not just about the dignity of the immigrant. It's also about the dignity of the native-born factory worker who has their wages destroyed. It's about the dignity of the child.
Yeah. He educated the Pope about immigration. Yeah. It just goes south from here. I'll give you a couple more seconds of it. It just goes to, it is all the made up shit. They're taking our jobs. It's all that same bullshit that you've heard out of your drunk Uncle Cletus. And he sits there arrogantly on Fox News, where the big, MAGA's bigot core are glued to, just spewing the same old stupid shit about immigration that has been proven to be completely false. My favorite response to these posts is if an immigrant with no resources, no car, that doesn't speak the language can come in and take your job, maybe you really sucked at your job.
Child who can be sex trafficked by a cartel member when you have open borders. And so what I tell the Catholic leadership I talk to who disagree with our immigration policies, I'm not hostile about it. I invite them to have the conversation, but I also encourage them to remember that mass migration has victims, and you can't just view things from the perspective of the illegal immigrant.
And there it is. They're victims. They're victims. That's the whole narrative for them. That is immigration in a nutshell. You're a victim. You're a victim. You're also strong, but you're a victim. That's the whole core. That is the whole core of the entire MAGA movement. They're victims. They are at every turn. But yeah, just give them the rope. They're going to keep the momentum going for us. They really are. They're going to keep the momentum going for us. They cannot help it. It is who they are at their core, and when you watch them, you watch their policies, you watch it play out, you give them a little power, they're going to do awful shit because they are bigots. This just looks terrible. I am going to give you a caution at the end of this. I am going to give you a caution at the end of this because a lot of people are sticking their neck out on this, saying shit that is just not true. But it is a bad look. So a guy writes an email. He writes an email. He watched the Alex Preddy assassination. He saw an American citizen get murdered on the streets by ICE agents, and he wrote an email. He fired off an email. One second. He fired off an email to the acting head of ICE. He didn't make any actual threats. He didn't make any, explicit threats of violence or anything like that. But he was harsh. He was harsh. Let me read to you. Let me read to you what he sent. This is to Todd Lyons, the acting director of ICE. This is basically the core of what he sent. He said, "What's next?" Striever called Lyons a monstrous human being and predicted the ICE leader would, quote, go down in history as America's Reinhard Heydrich, the Butcher, a reference to the Nazi official considered to be one of the architects of the Holocaust. He went on to write, the way you were protecting the obvious execution in Minnesota, even as we see the videos, will lead to your downfall. Even Trump will turn on you before the end, and you will be a sad, despised man who eats himself alive with shame at your own pathetic weakness. You will never know peace. You will seek to lose yourself to escape the burden of knowing the truth about yourself. But wherever you go, you will find yourself. You will torment yourself until your last day on earth. You get the feel. He wrote a pretty emotional email. So ICE, when he's traveling with his 7-year-old daughter, he gets a notification from his Ring doorbell. There are 2 ICE agents on his front door step. His wife's home alone. She answers the door. She tells them he's not here, but he wouldn't make threats. He wouldn't make threats, and he didn't make a specific threat. So they left. She told him that he was traveling overseas with his daughter. He flies back in through JFK. It's a long flight, so they get a hotel room because they've got a connecting flight in the morning. I showed up at his hotel. They tracked him. They tracked his movements. They were keeping a close eye on where he was. And they went to his hotel. And it's not a good look. It's just not a good look. Rightfully so, civil rights groups are throwing up the red flag. You've got what happened to the First Amendment? What happened to the, your right to express your displeasure with the government? Just because the government doesn't agree with what you're saying doesn't give them a right to send agents to your house. But here comes the caution. But it does. Take ICE out of the equation. Make it any government, and this is because I love you guys and I don't want to see you in trouble. I don't want to see you getting hurt. This is why I'm giving you this caution. This is why I am not defending ICE here. I am not. But stick with me. Even if you don't make an explicit threat, you have to be very, very careful what you say in emails that you send to any government official. Because if it can even half-ass be construed as a possible threat, they have to come see you and talk to you. That's what's going to happen. Federal agents are going to show up at your door, whether it's Parks Department, the Treasury Department, it does not matter. If you say something that can even be twisted and construed as a threat, an agent is going to show up at your door. And here's why. And this is just a fact, okay? Radicalization is not a switch. It's a journey. It is a journey. And if somebody, like say Mr. Stever here, very upset, rightfully so, I agree with the man. I agree with his sentiments. I do, 100%. But if he continues down the road and becomes radicalized, if they didn't do their job and they didn't go knock on his door and say, hey, you need to tell me what your thought processes were here. I mean, and that's your opportunity at that point to say, no, I don't mean no threats. No, they're going to listen to what you have to say. And this happens all the freaking time. This is not something ICE invented here. That's the caution I want to make about people sticking their neck out. They're talking about this as though ICE invented this. They didn't. This has been standard operating procedure for the United States government for decades. If you make something that can even be mildly construed as a possible threat, agents are going to show up at your door. They are. And it doesn't have to be ICE. It can be any department. So why am I telling you this? Why am I saying this? Again, I'm not defending ICE here. As a community, I give a shit what happens to you. I do. You need to be very careful when you start to write that email. And God bless you for speaking out. But when you start to write that email, whether it's to a member of Congress or whether it's to a department head or a complaint letter to the IRS or anything, if you're writing an email to a government employee or a government leader of any kind, you be damn careful about the verbiage in that email. Because, like I said, radicalization starts. Those people that aren't us, that don't just vocalize, hey, you know what, you're screwed up and we don't like it. That's us. We stand up, we speak our minds, we do that. But those people that are out there that aren't us, that are radicalized, that do end up doing shit that makes the news because they're violent, this is where they start. And law enforcement knows it. And they would be irresponsible if they didn't document. They would be irresponsible if this guy did become radicalized and there was no history, no trail, no nothing. Nobody could see it coming. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, be pissed off that this guy, just for speaking his mind and calling out something that was incredibly egregious, has agents showing up at his door. But don't end up losing your credibility by saying, oh, it's because it's ICE. It's because, no, that's not the case. That's not the case. And pretty please, speak out. But be mindful. Be mindful how you speak out. Don't get dark. You know what I'm saying? You know, understand where I'm going with this? Don't get dark. Don't start saying don't talk about when you're, don't do it. It's just don't, you know what I'm saying, right? You know what I'm saying? I mean, this guy is a jackass. This guy was a jackass. He was a joke. He protected ICE agents. He was a jackass. Call him a jackass. That's fine. That's fine. But don't start talking about, his end days and shit like that. Don't do that. Don't. Just don't. Just don't. All right. Oh, and while we're talking about PSAs and shit that we don't do, I don't know why I have to do this every year, but I have to do it every year. Stay the fuck away from the high capacity assault cows. I don't care if you're at the Grand Canyon. Yes, on the north rim of the Grand Canyon, there are herds of buffalo. I don't care if you're at Yellowstone, where this guy was. I don't care which park you're in. Stay the fuck away from the high capacity assault cows. These are not your papa's cows. They are not. It's just every damn year you get somebody that walks up to one of these things and says, let me take a picture. And then you're flying. Fortunately, this guy lived. But every damn year you get somebody that walks up to one of these herds. Let me take some pictures. Let me take you know what? If you want to take a selfie, do it from 100 yards away. You know what I'm saying? Oh my God. Every damn year. But yeah, as far as momentum is concerned, not reading the room, this just happened. Israel and the Trump administration cemented a deal for a permanent embassy complex in Jerusalem. Yeah. Juxtapose that to the election results that we just had in Colorado. I don't know anybody that feels Israel should have the amount of influence on our government that they do. I don't know anybody that feels that way. So yeah, the Trump administration is just going to spend a boatload of money in Israel building a permanent embassy complex in Jerusalem. That is not going to be popular with the American people, period. It is not going to be happy with the American people, and this has got to stop. Chuck Schumer had fuck all to do with this. Nothing. He's avoiding this like the plague because of this. Please, if you want to criticize Chuck Schumer, criticize him for shit that he does. Don't just whip something out your ass. Just because it has something to do with Israel, don't scream Chuck Schumer. Make sure you know what the fuck you're talking about. He's avoided this like the plague because of this very situation, because of the sea change in our country. And yeah, this is happening. This is happening. BMW's got a nice plant in the Carolinas. You remember Trump just gave a big speech about AI, and it's not going to take your factory job. That's not what it's all about. That is not what it's all about. AI is not coming for your job. Well, this is the BMW plant in Greenville. This is not AI. This is not. This is actually These robots are essentially just replacing a conveyor belt is what they're doing. But this is where it starts. This is where it starts. It's like your VCR, man. Your first VCR sucked. But they are here, man. They are here and they are on the factory floors already. Again, not AI. This is the actual BMW assembly plant in the Carolinas. Yeah. And I promise you, the Broligarchs, that's what they want, man. They don't like people. They don't like people. Yeah. If you don't, Leon, if you don't get it, we always use VCRs as an example because when VCRs came out, they really sucked and they were $1,200 a piece. And by the time that technology ended, they were loaded with capabilities and they cost $30. So what I'm talking about is the arc of the technology. Yeah, you're watching these AI robots and all they're doing is sorting parts from one place to the other, something that a conveyor belt could do just as efficiently. They have automated conveyor belts that do this exact thing. They've got readers over the top of them. They read a barcode and it diverts a part to a bin. That's all these things are doing. All they've done is replace a conveyor belt. At this point, is that dangerous? Is that, destroying jobs? No, but they will get better dexterity. They will get better trained, just like VCRs did. Next thing you know, these things will be installing, steering columns. This is coming, folks. This is coming. And the question is, which party do you want in power when it gets here? Are you wanting the party that there's nothing that the Broligarchs can't do or demand that they're not willing to cotton to? Or do you want the party that actually gives a shit about the American people that are willing to advocate on your behalf? I mean, we really are at a fork in the road. These data centers, we can fight them and we can stop them and we can slow them, but AI is coming. The technology is coming. The Broligarchs don't want people. They don't. They don't want people. They don't want employees. So who the hell are we going to have in charge? Are we going to have a government that represents the interests of the people? Or are we going to have the Republicans that don't really give a damn? Their answer to this whole situation is hound every immigrant out of the country, leave us an aging population, and then watch the unemployment happen. Because, hey, we're going to die off anyways. What do we need the people for? It's just sheer stupidity. It is sheer stupidity. They don't want, yeah, exactly. They don't want labor unions. They don't want people. They don't want people. Skeet says, if you saw Roosevelt Congress testimony, you would understand the gravity that is already pressuring the U.S. Could not even say that he killed U.S. aid. Yeah, that exchange was really, really telling. They were giving him real world examples, people's names, children's names that died because we cut off from starvation, because we cut off U.S. aid. It was like water off a duck's back. He didn't give a damn in the slightest. Didn't phase him a bit. He went right back to the talking points. Yeah, that guy has no soul. Kate Marylight, Trump is afraid of anyone in the military who will fight back when he asks for military intervention in our elections. I'm telling you, they want yes men, and it is dangerous. Our institutions, many of them are holding on by a thread. Many have already started to falter. And if you don't think the military is one of those institutions that has started to falter, I will tell you they fired a Hellfire missile into a sinking boat that was shattered in pieces and had survivors clasping onto the wreckage and executed those people. The military did that. Yes, the Trump administration ordered it, but the military did it. Our institutions are crumbling. They are. Skeet Sarah, Keg's breath is a direct analogy to Goering. He told Hitler they could use planes alone and conquer Britain, and we know how that ended. Yeah, they're not geniuses. They aren't. E.T., it is less than 18 weeks until the general election. Verify your voter registration and deadline dates. Know your early voting dates. Get involved. Yep. August is going to be huge, folks. Next month, we have almost no primaries. This month, we have almost no primaries. Next month, August, is huge. Man, we have a ton of primaries in August. Richard, caught you last night on Ojeda. Awesome. Yeah, I love spending time with Richard. He's a good guy. Skeet Sayre, have you noticed that the Supreme Court are up? It is because most of us have read the UN report on you know what and are very pissed. Yeah, I'm telling you, the wind has shifted in this country. Skeet Sayre, they killed the economy. There is no coming back. Reagan's agenda is gone, starting in New York City. The idiots are no longer in control of the narrative. It is shifting. Don't try to spike the ball yet because you're not in the end zone. Chandra Patton, thanks for gifting the memberships. I appreciate you. Netadala, Denmark is sending its 30th donation to Ukraine. It was announced today. I'm telling you, I am so glad Europe is standing behind them because I know we are not doing what we could do. JPR, the Ukrainians, their bravery and Europe's support are really the only things keeping another world war from breaking out all over Europe. I mean, it's insanity that we've allowed this to go on for 4 years. JPR 2026, have you heard what he plans with the Board of Peace? Any member cannot be prosecuted, then no accountability regarding fishing boat bombings, war crimes, etc. for Israel, any country that is a member. They're trying to CYA themselves, and it's not going to work. It's not. Arcana Clan, they say TDS and fake news to end thinking, to blindside logic and revive Confederate era divisions. What's your favorite kind of coffee? Comment. It depends on the mood. Like today, I'm drinking pumpkin spice. Middle of summer, I'm drinking pumpkin spice because you people were generous enough to send it to me. But I don't always feel like flavored coffee. I'm a big fan of Pete's. I am a big fan and I also love the flip coffee because what Rocky Kanaka does, I think his movement is exactly the kind of thing that we need in this country. Vince, good to see you, friend. Gifted 5 members. Very generous of you, sir. Thank you. Very generous. I appreciate you. And I appreciate your off-show support. I really do. I see it. I read every email. Thank you, bud. I appreciate it. DM Cardello. Is it Cardeo or Cardello? For some replacement guitar picks. Thanks, brother. I appreciate you, man. I appreciate it. More people have responded to the damn cat stealing my guitar picks, man. No, I still got this one. This is the one that's made it the longest. The gray Dunlop picks, they love these things. These are a little coarser. These are cool picks, and they don't seem to like the red ones as much. Which sucks because the goddamn cool picks are twice as much as the Dunlop picks. I mean, they're not expensive. Don't get me wrong. They're only a few dollars. Don't get me wrong. It's just, why couldn't they let me just buy the cheap ones? And Hopland, Norway beat the Ivory Coast in the World Cup. Anything is possible. We're on a roll. I'm telling you, the World Cup has been fantastic, man. I am glad. Doesn't it feel good to see so many people enjoying something positive? And you know what I mean? Just the unity, the enjoying their time here and in Canada and Mexico. I mean, hadn't it been fantastic? That I was really worried about the World Cup, that it was going to come off really negative, that Trump is going to make it all, try to make it all about himself. But I'm telling you, it has been fantastic. It has been fantastic. I've been really pleasantly surprised. Gail Brownell, volunteer to walk with your candidates in the 4th of July parades. More bodies will show people sitting on the fence that they are not alone. Yep. Amen. Smart idea. Deborah Emery, we watch you 3 times a week. We need to be truthful, informed. Thank you, Deborah. I appreciate you. Thank you. Skeet Sayre, I can't wait to see live streams of the Dems going to those ICE facilities and exposing the cruelty. They will make people mad. We are human first. That is one of the biggest journalistic failures this country's had in modern history. Those facilities are horrific. They are. They are. And news agencies are doing nothing to fight to get footage out. They're not working with, used to be they would be working on guards. They would be working on anybody they could to get footage out about the horrific conditions. And you're just not seeing it. Again, another institution that is faltering, that is crumbling, that isn't still resilient. Right now, shit, man. It's easier to name institutions that haven't crumbled than it is those that have. Tiger Butterfly, at 52, I voted in the first primary because, all right, fantastic. Glad to see you voting. Melissa Grubb, voting in my first primary in Michigan on August 4th. August is going to be huge, man. It is going to be one primary after another. Steve Piff, polls for Texas statewide offices isn't encouraging. Paxton is even with Tallarico. Yeah. Wait for it. As things heat up, just wait for it. Right now, people are still not. It's been kind of weird. Normally 6 months out is when people start getting engaged. Not so far this year. Wait for it. As it gets closer and more election news, August. Watch what happens in August. Arcana Clan, shout out to my boyfriend for voting Dem for the first time in his life. See, there you go. That's what I'm talking about. Skeet Sayre, Paxton was spotted with his mistress on the way to Iceland. He tried to hug her until he saw a camera on him, and he cannot win. Yeah, that was great. That was, well, it's not great. But yeah, those two were out. Things are rough here in Texas. I try to tell people this. We like to pretend we're a rich state. We're not. If you remove those ultra rich executives and broligarchs out of the figures, if you get rid of like the Frisco crowd, you pull those people out, we're Mississippi, man. We're a poor state. There's a lot of poverty in Texas. And people that are struggling, freaking hamburgers, $9 a pound here. You see people that are struggling. They can't buy their beer anymore. They can't smoke their briskets anymore. They can't, and they see Ken Paxton living the high life on a luxury trip to Iceland with his hoe. Yeah. Yeah. That's the kind of thing I keep telling you. They will keep giving, the wind will keep blowing our direction. They cannot help it. There you go. Watch when he discovers the camera.
Yep, that's me. You're probably wondering how I ended up in this situation.
Gotta love the Lincoln Project, man. They're really good at that stuff. They really are. Oh my God. 86 Stephen Miller. Yep. Skeet Sear, what is sad about DSA is how Black America lived in the early 20th century until jealousy destroyed it, and they put crack in LA in 1980. I don't know where you're going with all that, brother. I don't know where you're going with it, brother. Shortness 3,000. Did you see what Troy Nell said about affordability? What a jackass! I cannot remember exactly what he said, to be honest with you. Yeah. That's what I keep telling you. Just give them a rope. They'll hang themselves. They will hang themselves. GOP rep asked about affordability says he will eat lobster tail and ribeye steak for 4th of July. Thanks for bringing that up. That is not the comment that I was thinking of. Shortness, thank you for bringing that up. See what I mean? Just give them the rope. They will hang themselves. They can't help it because everything about them is ugly. Everything about them is hatred. Everything about them is bigotry. Victor Harshman, vote blue no matter who. We can work out our differences after the election. Hey, man, I am not telling anybody to stop believing what they believe and stop fighting for what they fight. And I'm the first one to tell you, I'm trying to wrap a rope around the Democratic Party and pull it left. I think that even going back to Bill Clinton, it just lost its way. The window shifted too far. The Democrats became a right of center party. That's got to change, man. We need a party focused on the American people and the American people's well-being, period. Slap Your Mama says, yes, dividing the Dems is a circular firing squad. Yep, say it. Just wear the damn jersey. Amen. Amen. Skeet Sayre, you know who can F off? The UN report was just the beginning of the truth being revealed. They are evil. Yeah, they are. They are. These facts aren't going away. They're not going to be buried. They're not. Mr. Knutson, nuns are really scary to port before church. I don't mean to laugh because it's not funny. It's not, but how stupid do you have to be? How little do you have to know that the Catholic Church is just religious about doing the paperwork? But they've got an entire infrastructure set up for this within the church to make sure all of everything, their T's are crossed, their I's are dotted. How stupid do you have to be? Katie Dotson, what is the difference between a nun wearing a habit and a Muslim in a hijab? Nothing, and I don't have a problem with either one. Jeff Davis, thank you. Thank you for gifting the membership. Thank you. Skeet Sayre, we need to shine focus on choice. Let me back up. Let me back up to your question. If it's a matter of choice, I have no problem with either one. If it's a matter of choice. Skeet Sayre, we need to shine focus on those people given 50 to 100 years for Antifa, Southern Baptists, or worse than the Vatican. That is another cautionary tale. Yes, go to No King's Day protests. What's missing in the dialogue over this? Yes, these are already going to appeal. Skeet Sayre, these are already going to appeal. They're going to appeal the length of those sentences. Even the shooter got a sentence that was more than twice what is normal in the situation. But God damn it. The reason I don't talk about this is these are the absolutely the wrong people to hang your hat on. They are. What they're talking about is it was a group of people. And yes, it was a group of people. I've seen people on the internet try to say, oh, well, no, they were just some of them that got 50 years just showed up. No, they were an anarchist book club. They knew each other. They tried to cover for the shooter. They sent texts. They had group texts to each other where they were trying to cover for the shooter. If you don't know what happened down in Alvarado, Texas, some people got together to protest the ICE facility down here. Great. Fantastic. They brought fireworks. Dumb. Do not bring fireworks, because in court, that was legally explosive. That contributed to them being able to go after these ridiculous. Now on appeal, when it's out of this Texas podunk fuckhead's hands, on appeal they will reduce those sentences, because a normal judge will say, "Look, man, they have bottle rockets, not dynamite. Come on." But damn it, they shot a cop. And by their own testimony, Ben Song shot that cop on purpose. He tried to claim he didn't intentionally mean to shoot the cop. He was trying to lay down suppressing fire because the cop got out of his car and drew his weapon. The reason the cop got out of the car and drew his weapon is some of these assholes started vandalizing cars and they smashed the camera at the ICE facility. Don't do that. Do I understand the sentiment? Yes. Is it stupid? Yes. But here's the thing. I am not going to defend these people other than to say the sentences were ridiculously long and those sentences will be overturned on appeal. But they shot a cop. Then they covered for the shooter. They vandalized shit. They brought fireworks, which is dumb. I got an idea. Put on a frog costume. I'm telling you, the people that wear the frog costumes that show up with the signs that call themselves Amphifa. Have you seen that? Amphifa? I love it, man. It's great. Protest, yes. But our community is smarter and better than that. We are. These people, you have to know who you're protesting with. You do. Because you're going to be held accountable for what anybody does. It's just the way our laws work, man. Please please. And this is why I'm saying this. Please do not get yourself in trouble. If you know somebody that's a hothead that can't control themselves, do not go to a protest with them. And if you end up at the same protest, make sure you are not the same group. Nope. And sure as hell, if they do something stupid, don't cover for them because it makes you part of the conspiracy. Yeah, I am not gonna be their advocate. I am not. They shot a cop. And they shot a cop that was doing nothing but doing his job because you were breaking shit. You were vandalizing people's cars. There's no such thing as immigration. We are one human race. Skeets, buddy, I got to disagree with you there, man. I mean, I understand your sentiment. We are one people, one world, but there are governments, man. There are governments, and that management requires those requires, I'm never going to go along with you that there's no such thing as immigration. I'm not. Now, we have to manage things. We do. Christopher Daly, time to call out the RC Church. Yep. Richard, this isn't about, this new Pope's doing a fantastic job. And if he keeps going, more power to him. More power to him. Richard, 6502, this isn't about Mitch McConnell. It's about Governor Beshear not being able to appoint a Democrat. What the Republicans did is they actually took that right away. It used to be that the governor would appoint. They actually, when Governor Beshear won his election but had not taken office, the Republicans in Kentucky changed the law. He no longer can appoint or McConnell's replacement. They have to hold a special election. The Republicans knew they did not want a Democrat to have the same power that they had. Texas Yellow Rose, thank you for supporting the show. Thank you. Wealthy, cheap labor, so they hire undocumented. I'm not exactly sure what you're referencing there, Texas Yellow Rose. Wealthy, cheap labor. I don't know any wealthy, cheap labor. You have to clarify for me in the comments. Chandra Patton, Couch's boy, ignorance and stupidity is so loud. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Talk about not being able to read the room, man. Martin Bissig, but Biden, yeah. Skeet Sayre, how can someone pick tomatoes out of a field for a basic salary make it hurt for the right wing? Bigotry, man. Hate. Bigotry and hate. Bigotry and hate. Folks, there is something going on. I'll come back to your comments here in a minute, but I do want to talk about this. This is fucking scary. Because they are so inconsistent. They are so put out one statement and do something else. If you haven't heard, all of the negotiations, we're at war again. All of the negotiations are over. Iran is not at the table anymore. Yeah. Benjamin Netanyahu put a poison pill in the negotiations because Iran has demanded that we do something. And it's part of their negotiation demands that we do something about Israel and Lebanon. We have the ability to do that. We can, despite what the loudmouths in Israel say, we actually can influence what is going on there. We have that kind of power, that kind of ability. It may cause a permanent rupture in our relationship depending on how far Israel wants to go with this. But we can actually do something about that demand. Netanyahu got the Trump administration to put a poison pill in these negotiations that demand that Iran make Hezbollah disarm. Iran does not have that power. They don't. They fund Hezbollah. They, 100% arm Hezbollah. They do. They do not have boots on the ground in Lebanon. They could not disarm Hezbollah if they wanted to. They couldn't. So that demand that they're making, that's it. It's an unattainable demand. It can never be met. It is to poison these negotiations to allow Israel to continue its attacks in Lebanon, to allow Israel to steal more land in Lebanon. That is what's going on. And you have Trump being briefed on full-on war operations. I'm talking boots on the ground in Iran. And it doesn't matter that they say, but opts to stick with talks, because we know how erratic and out of control Trump is. And we know that keg breath, war fighters, absolutely hates that information is coming out about the damage to our embassies, the damage to our bases. He hates that information is coming out about casualties, all of that. He is a Fox News talking head, Fantasyland fuckhead, and he wants this war. He wants American boots on the ground in Iran. He thinks it's a good thing. It's a country of 90 million people. 90 million. Let that sink in. Let that sink in. It is a country of 90 million people. And I don't know about you folks, but I do not believe that they have the common sense to know what a war of that scale would look like. You're talking about taking our entire economy and having to move it to a war economy. You're talking about having to take over every possible shipyard. You're talking about having to take over, manufacturing facilities. You're talking about the entire American economy having to switch to doing nothing but training our young men, clothing, arming our young men, building weaponry, building planes, and engaging in a full-on war that will not be over in 2 weeks. It will not. It will not. This is not Iraq. This is not Iraq. Just terrain-wise, it is not Iraq. And we've got one of the dumbest sons of bitches in the world running our Defense Department. And the fact that they're even holding these briefings. And I have no faith in Dan Kane, General Dan Kane, chairman of the Joint Chiefs. I have no faith in him. He is the guy that greenlit murdering those people in those boats. And I don't even care if you say they're drug boats. I don't. It doesn't matter that they're drug boats. We don't murder people. You know, people like to point that out. Every time we talk about it like a police shooting, you get these right-wingers that flood into the comments saying, oh, but he was guilty of this, he was guilty of that. Guess what? The police aren't supposed to shoot guilty people either. This is the kind of people that we have running our Pentagon, and they are telling you they're holding briefings for an all-out fucking war. And I don't mean military operation. I don't mean like Iraq, where nobody at home felt it. I don't mean like Afghanistan, where nobody at home felt it. That is not this. It is not. It just is not. You're talking about there will be terrorist attacks here on our soil. There will be terrorist attacks in Europe. You're talking about a war that will cost hundreds of thousands of American lives. Just take some time, go to Google Maps, do a little search on just the terrain in Iran. This is terrain-wise, this is Afghanistan times 10. It's just, this is incredible. And Russia will gladly do to us what we will not do to them in Ukraine. A war with Iran would be our Ukraine war. And they're getting briefings on doing it right now. They are. It's insane. It is insane. Jenny Black says, it's like tourists in SA at game reserves getting out of their car to get a better pick of a big cap. Yeah. 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 Don't do that, people. Don't do that. Don't. I don't. I tell you the funniest thing I've ever seen. Talking about people just doing stupid shit with wild animals, whether it be buffalo or lions or whatever. Does anybody remember the story about the bullshit pastor? He had basically a cult that he had started, and his church sent him to Africa, and he was so delusional about his own abilities that he thought God would protect him, and he charged a pride of lions. And they were munching on his ass. The escorts that they had ended up having to shoot a couple lions. They ripped one of his butt cheeks off, man. In Jesus' name, he charged a pride of lions. People are so freaking stupid. They literally ripped one of his butt cheeks off. Yeah. Mr. Newton, robots are slow, expensive, but they work 23 hours and charge for one and will be faster than any human in 10 years. Take power back or starve. Yep. Yep. Absolutely. Humans don't paint cars anymore. They don't. Robots paint your cars. Martha Stiegel. Only thing I have to say is Isaac Asimov. Yep. You know, it kills me that not enough people have read Isaac Asimov to know what you're talking about. Weird Idaho liberal. Driving on Idaho roads, I'm lit up like a Christmas tree on the ass of my car. I love to see how many people I can trigger, and it's funny as hell to see when it happens. Nothing threatening, just vulgarity. I bet. Cape Maryland. I know Roland Emmerich's movie Moonfall didn't do well at the box office, but that's what it was all about. AI trying to rule the world. You know what? I'm more afraid. Yeah, I don't trust these morons. I really don't. These tech morons, I don't. Smartest, stupid people you've ever seen. So yeah, I'm not 100% convinced they've got a handle on AI, but I'm more afraid of the oligarchs and what they're willing to do to our society because they're too stupid to do the basic math and realize that their dream is our country being an old, decrepit country. Do you know what happens to old, decrepit countries? They collapse or they get invaded. What are you going to do when there are no young people in the military? I mean, these people think that they're just freaking delusional. They're just delusional. I'm more afraid of that. Jenny, 2020, Trump should not be opining on any form of intelligence, artificial or otherwise. He's sorely out of his league. Yep. Amen. Melissa Grubb, if people don't have jobs, how is anyone going to buy a damn car? Seems very short-sighted to me. Exactly. I was watching one of these AI Broligarch bros talking about, I mean, just right out of his mouth, 60% of GDP will be generated by AI. Okay. Then who the fuck buys your goods? Because AI don't buy cars. AI doesn't buy houses. AI doesn't go to your grocery store. AI doesn't. Who the fuck is going to buy your products? Seems simple, but they don't get it. They just don't get it. George Lionel, those robots sure are slim and trim. You know what? A perfect, yeah. Yeah, they are tiny little things. They don't have to be big. You know what this reminds me of? This whole AI conversation? It's like Trump and his attacking Iran. They got away with it twice. They got away with it. Iran didn't lose its shit. They didn't really fight back. It was token responses. They were the grown-ups in the room, and they thought they could get away with it again. They did. These oligarchs and AI, same thing. They're like, well, we outsourced jobs, and Reagan, we shipped all our jobs overseas under Reagan, and America survived. We automated our plants. Like I said, humans don't paint cars anymore; robots do. And America survived. They just think it's going to be just one more thing. And they're not doing their own, they're not doing the math. Just like Trump with Iran. They think, we get away with it. No, you won't. No, you won't. No, you will not. Wendy Bauman, retired GM auto worker, and who's going to buy their cars? Yep. Gail Brownell, Texas Paul World Oil Reserves empty next week. Then what? Hyperinflation. 14 billion. I was talking about this with Richard Ojeda. 14 billion barrels a day shortfall. Right now, the world is burning through its reserves. They have tried to shift some of that to some of the pipelines, but Kuwait doesn't have a pipeline, people. Bahrain doesn't have priority in the Saudi pipeline. Only, the Saudis do. The UAE ships oil via pipeline through Oman to the Gulf of Oman to try to avoid the Iranians. But guess what? That's controlled by Oman. It makes the oil more expensive. Yeah, you can't just replace that infrastructure. You can't. They're dumb. We are headed towards massive inflation. I'm actually kind of curious, with everything going so poorly with Iran, if these people on Wall Street are still as delusional about oil prices as they have been. Yep. West Texas Intermediate crude actually went down $2. They're insane. They are insane. Rena Scott, robots will not be paying taxes, so all income from these factories will go to the oligarchs. No money for infrastructure. Yep. It's like they don't understand how an economy works. If you this trickle down bullshit, if you give a billionaire money, the billionaire puts it in investments. I'm talking equities, crypto, stocks, bonds. You inject money into the hands of poor people, they spend it. Every last dollar. They spend it all. Because the majority of Americans live below that level, the comfort level. Used to be about $70,000. It's gone up to closer to 100 now. Until you reach that point, you're not psychologically comfortable. You get any additional income, you're not really saving a lot of it. You're spending the overwhelming majority of it. That drives the economy. That makes rich people rich too, but they just can't seem to figure it out. Glenn, thanks for gifting the memberships, brother. Jenny Black, USAID has killed thousands of Africans because people can't get their antiretroviral meds. So many funerals all of a sudden after short illness. Yep. Diseases are spreading because they're not, this is why the idiots in the churches actually love this, because they used to hand out condoms. Not anymore. Diseases are running rampant. Everything from hepatitis to AIDS. June Osborne, thank you for being here. Thank you. Dennis Jan, it is an honor being part of this family. Thank you, Mr. and Mrs. Texas Paul, for all you do. Thank you for being here. Cannot do it without you. Miss Tangled, welcome. Skeet Sayre, what I mean, Paul, is towns like Rosewood, Florida, were an example. Yeah, no, I totally get your sentiment. No smoke your direction, brother. No smoke at all. None. Aging Canada, thanks for acknowledging Canada Day. Great results from primaries. Love our Canadian brothers and sisters that are here. Johnny Worms, together we can change this. Yep. And I got to tell you, our Canada friends, we do. We just sit here and admire isn't a strong enough word. Your government, Mark Carney, and the fact that you have shut these conservatives down as much as you have. Yeah, we're envious, extremely. We must stay vigilant. That says vigilante, but I'm going to fix it for you. We must stay vigilant. I'm here, Mr. Knutson. Good to see you, sir. Thank you for being so generous. Part of our European audience right there, my friends. Skeet Sayre, Anarchist Book Club is much better than what is going on. Texas has legal carry, no? Yeah, it's not legal to shoot a cop. Not going to go down that road with you, man. Y'all will never be able to get me to defend those folks. That was stupid. I mean, God bless them for wanting to protest and exercise their First Amendment. But when they brought the fireworks, that was dumb. When they started to vandalize shit, that was dumb. And they were all going to go down as a group for that because they came as a group. When that guy shot that cop, they were all responsible. When they tried to cover for the guy after the crime so that he could get away, they are all responsible. They're all complicit. Yes, I think I believe their sentences were outrageous, and it was part of the right, and they were politicized, and it was bullshit. But I believe those sentences will be overturned on appeal. I do. And that's the last, that's as far as I'll go for them. That was just fucking stupid. Skeet Sayer, they shot an ICE officer after he raised his gun. They shot an Alvarado police officer. They didn't shoot an ICE officer. ICE didn't come outside. We should be stark raving mad at the lack of humanity from ICE. I hear you. But yeah, the fact is they didn't shoot an ICE officer. Alvarado PD responded. ICE called Alvarado PD. Said, look, they got people outside. It's a protest. They're vandalizing cars. They've broken one of our cameras. Alvarado PD responded. The officer did exactly what you would expect one of those officers to do. He got out of his car and he drew his weapon. There's video of it. You can actually watch the video of it. There's video that's been released on social media. Drew his weapon and the dude shot him, man. You cannot do that. Rena Scott, I would rather see 10 Dems elected that I disagree with than one MAGA cult Republican, because you'll agree with 90% of the shit that the Dem does. Patches, welcome. Glad to see you. Kim, HR Guru, thank you for being so generous, Kim. Thank you for gifting the memberships to folks. Jerry Ring, why haven't they brought Stephen Miller into a committee hearing? I'm sure there's plenty enough reasons. I think they tried once and he refused, and the Republicans didn't do anything about it. Ethan Vinsky from a North Dakota. I'm going to say from a North Dakotan is what I'm going to say. I was saving up for a Mesa Boogie. Nice amp. But since the orangutan, my next amp will be a Rev. Yeah, I like those Mesa Boogies. I do. They've had a few problems recently, but man, they are nice amps, man. They are. Patches, I agree with your voice. Thanks. No, I agree with you. Thank you. I think you appreciate you being here. Rena Scott, has anyone seen those Washington.gov commercials Rump has been narrating? They creep me out. Star used WA system would not let me use the actual word. I don't know exactly what you're talking about because I haven't seen them. Rena. Email me about it. I'd like to know about it, if you don't mind. Robert Garreau, a war with Iran, sacrificing American lives over Hegseth and Trump's stupidity. Yep. Tell me you couldn't see them escalating this war because they're so terrified about the midterms. Isn't that just a sad fact? I don't know anybody that doesn't believe they would do that. Mike Daly, the Dim, was in Cades Cove and watched a dad tell a 10-year-old girl to keep an eye Saw a dad tell a 10-year-old girl to keep an eye on black bear cubs while their mom got the camera. Hello, mom. Oh my God. If you see bear cubs, you are in the wrong freaking place, man. Oh my God. I saw a similar video. A bear cub showed up at this woman's back porch. Did she do what she should have done, which is ignore it? Yes, the cub was outside in the freezing rain, and she did this little video and thought it was the cutest thing. She fed it and this, that, and the other. And the next day, mama showed up and she let the bear cub go out. That mama, look, a bear can close 30 feet in the blink of an eye. You will be shocked. If you go watch a bear attack video, that last lunge, it's the blink of an eye, and they will clear 30 feet like it's nothing. And this lady is standing on the back porch talking to this mama bear after she had her cub inside. Mama Bear tracked the cub to her house. Yeah, nah. People are just dumb. Gail Brownell, 50 years ago in the Black Hills, there were roadside stops where you could feed hay through the fence to young buffalo. I added a pat to the nose. I landed about 6 feet back with a headache. I'm telling you, man. I am telling you. Stay away from the high capacity assault cows, man. Ann Hopland, Amnesty International has reported that a detainee had been put in the box in scorching heat at Alcatraz. This shit has to stop now. Talking about alligator Alcatraz, I think. Yeah. I'm telling you, our media is failing us on the reports inside these facilities. They are. DM Cardello, it's Dell, like the computer. All right, gotcha. And I'd like to thrive, not just survive. Amen, brother. Amen. Melissa Grubb, robots don't pay taxes either. No, they do not. No, they do not. Chandra Patton, as I've said before, trickle down is nothing but yellow rain. Amen. Amen. Vince, I live on less than 14,000 a year. Damn, Vince. Just be here, brother. Damn, make me feel bad, brother. You need to stop sending support. You do. You do. That breaks my heart, brother. You need to take care of yourself, my guy. I'm just glad you're here, man. I'm just glad you're here. I'm glad to have you, my friend. DTQ, depending on how the midterms go, the Mrs. and I are thinking of moving to Canada. We can't risk what they may do to her as a person of color. I frequently think, when do the Jews who escaped Germany know to leave? You know, I wish you were the only person that ever heard say something like that. I've actually heard from people that were shocked to find out that many countries have age limitations. You can't just, a lot of Americans think that, well, I'll just move somewhere else. No, a lot of places you can't just move. You got to meet criteria. Dying Breed Garage. Paul, what do you think of the billionaires building bunkers as escape? I think it's telling. It shows you what their mindset is. These are the people that could fix problems. These are the people that could improve things. These are the people that could fix the basic things like healthcare and we could improve our society. Instead, they're choosing to build massive bunkers because they know they're not going to. They know that their greed is not going to end. They don't care if it collapses. They don't. I mean, what is more telling to you? The very people that could lead, that could build the infrastructure, they're saying, no, we're instead we're going to dump our money into building a fortress for ourselves to keep you out, to keep you from getting to us. I mean, that tells you clearly what their mindset is, what their beliefs are. Alan Davis, November is in sight. I just checked my voter registration. I'm still good. Let's add Vicky to Gina and James for Texas. Amen. Vicky Goodwin's she is going to be an absolute fantastic. She has forgotten. She's one of those people that are so freaking smart. Vicky Goodwin is so freaking smart. She's going to be a fantastic lieutenant governor. She is. We've got a bright future ahead of us if we do the work. If we just get out and do the work. Well, folks, that's what I've got for you today. I hope you've enjoyed the show. I hope it's been useful. I hope you found some use to it. Thank you for being here. Thanks for supporting me, allowing me to do this full time. I'm truly grateful that you allow me to do this full time. It's necessary. This fight isn't going to go away. This isn't going to end anytime soon. I am not promising you quick fixes. I am not promising you that when we take the midterms, you're going to get everything you want. You're not. You're not. There will still be work to do. In 2028, when we take the White House, there will still be work to do. There will. And I appreciate you being here. I appreciate you doing it. Let's do this. Let's do the work. Enjoy some Texas cities at night.